Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ring Diaries here at Church of Uganda Family TV, where we talk about anything and everything to do with marriage. We bring you real people to share real experiences about marriages. And I keep telling you, we don't bring experts. No one is an expert in marriage. However long you've been married, you can never be an expert in marriage. So what we do is we share our experiences and the things we've learned along the way to see how to make marriage a better place for everyone. And this evening, we are privileged to host an amazing couple, Mark and Victoria Mutebi. You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, Mark and Victoria have been married 4 years in September.
Yes.
And they're going to discuss an interesting topic about the influence of a good marriage on our communities. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So you've been married 4 years. How has it been?
It has been lots of learning,
Okay.
lots of fun. In those 4
I
years,
like that. Lots of fun.
yes, we have had moments of fun where we have really enjoyed ourselves to the fullest.
Okay.
And in those 4 years, God has given us twins,
Wow.
a boy and a girl.
You don't look like a nun.
And those twins turned 3 years last month.
Wow.
Yes, so it has.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Must
much.
have been a journey.
Yes, it's a beautiful journey of learning each other, on how to relate with each other, on how to parent and raise the children. Yes, it has been such a wonderful journey.
Interesting. And Mark, how has been? Because you can be the same marriage and you have different opinions. That's one thing I've learned about marriage.
Yes.
How have the 4 years been?
The 4 years are like yesterday. It seems like it's just a short while since we got married. But it's quite interesting. There is so much that has been experienced in the 4 years. Like she said, there is all this very good stuff, but we have learned more about each other. My children have come, but also challenges have been there.
Definitely.
And together with her, we have been able to solve them. And we are committed, and we see God really bless us and work with us.
Amen. That is interesting. So this topic about first of all, what is a good marriage? What would be described as a good marriage?
A good marriage.
And let me get my book so I can see if my marriage is good. So what is the description of a good marriage?
Yeah.
For me, one thing that comes to mind when I think about a good marriage is the beginning, Adam and Eve, because God created Adam. And then he saw that Adam was not good alone. Like he needed someone else. And then out of his rib, he created Eve. And those people started a beautiful marriage, a beautiful relationship. And since it is God's idea, every good marriage that we have today must be quite similar to what God desires a marriage to be like.
So it should be almost similar to what Adam and Eve had.
Yes.
What is that?
And really, when you look at it, because people have their own definitions of what marriage is, and they bring it. And I think for me, growing up, I had challenges really finding out what really is marriage, because people defined it differently.
Yes.
They brought it in different angles, mchala, msaja, man, gun, they brought it in different angles. But one thing that Victoria and I realized is that as we looked and searched for that definition, we found that it is key to go back to the beginning. Like she said, if anyone wants to look at a good marriage, you have to start with that of Adam and Eve. Yes, and right there is where you see how they were in fellowship with God. You see how Adam was actually, after God had made him, he had even given him work to do. He was enjoying him. He was in the presence. And then the Lord realizes, it's not realizing, but he knew that Adam, it's not good for him to be alone. And then he takes this rib, makes a woman, and he gives him a chebe. Yes.
So from what I'm getting is a good marriage, one, there should be some fellowship with God.
Yes.
Like Adam and Eve, they had fellowship with God. There should be work because we were told to work.
Yeah.
You know, so part of the things that make a good marriage is the ability to work.
Yes.
What other things define a good marriage?
It must be between a woman and
a woman,
and
yes,
a husband.
and a husband.
And a man.
There must be a man
A
and a
man
woman.
and yes, a man and a woman.
Our society is so confused today with the woman and woman, man and man, but that's an abomination. In the beginning, it was a male and a female coming together to
give
companionship to each other as directed by God, and they were enjoying themselves, and that's it.
So a good marriage should have a bit of enjoying ourselves.
Yes, it should be.
So the people are not enjoying themselves, the marriages are not good.
Not really. It could be actually a season. Sometimes in marriage, there are what we call seasons. And these seasons come here and there, where you find that probably it's a season maybe where you're going through a lot of hardship, trials and temptations and things like that. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing that is in that marriage. There is also the good times. There are the enjoyment, the what, those other things, you know, where you really...
These are seasons.
Hey. So every marriage goes through seasons, but it shouldn't be defined by those seasons. Yeah.
So, for example, in our marriage, we had a season when we had just given birth to the twins. That season was more of sleepless nights because the babies.
Imagine one child keeps you awake now too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights and so many diaper changes and a lot of cries around, and really I would not be able to do this today because I would have to be at home to make sure that the babies are okay, they are feeding okay, they are sleeping and napping and doing everything that really they should do. So that was a season where we were focused on raising those children out of
If someone looked
season.
at it as a whole, they would say this marriage is not good.
Yes.
And yet it was just a season. And I think every marriage has its seasons. There are the good times. Even I'm sure Adam and Eve, when he ate the shit.
Yeah,
That season couldn't have been.
that was one of the worst seasons for them.
I'm sure it couldn't have been good.
It couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we know what a good marriage is it actually important to have a good marriage?
Yeah, I think it is. It is very important because when you look at the marriage, it is foundational to society. And when you look at the foundations that come out of the family, you look at the family itself, you look at church, you look at schools, you look at
Marketplace,
the government itself. All these spring from the family. And remember, even the family that we're talking about comes from the relationship, the marriage relationship between a man and a woman. So that the marriage, my marriage and Victoria's marriage, is very foundational to all society. Because the people who are in a family, their well-being, their all those things that they'll ever do, well or bad, it starts in this marriage. Yeah, children learn from their parents. I mean, there are things that we don't even talk about. But like one of the things that has been happening, I will give an example with my own child. I mean, you find that sometimes because he sees me wearing my shoes, he also wants to wear my shoes and walk around the compound. Maybe because he also sees me do certain things, he also likes. So even in this marriage, it's this marriage which contributes to the family, and then it's this marriage which contributes to the church, or even to that religious, affiliation. It's this one that also where government springs from, where schools and all those things.
Because
so it's really important.
when a couple or when a marriage is good, they are really aligned to God's purposes of marriage, which is one of it, companionship, rearing the good, children, raising them up in a godly way. You realize that the children that will come out of that marriage will be excellent when they go to school, or they will strive to achieve better than children who come from maybe broken families, or even who don't have moms or who don't have fathers, who don't know where their parents are. And you find that the children who come from stable families, a good marriage, like we define that which is aligned to God, you find that they will have they will love God, and they will desire to have God as part of them, because they have seen it with their parents, and they have been encouraged in it as they have been raised up. So realize that in that way we are contributing to the spreading of the gospel in one or another. We are contributing to good morals in society, because when someone fears the Lord and respects and wants to honor the Lord, what they bear, the fruit they bear, will be so beneficial to the society.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying that a good marriage would be the foundation of the church.
Yes.
It would be the foundation of the schools, the government, every place
Yes.
should be hinged to a good marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So as we strive for good marriages,
Yes.
how come you find there are people who come from good families and they are bad?
Yeah. I mean, for those people, I mean, okay, there are things where we can't say that every bad thing is, it's coming from the family, but there is also what we call the problem of sin. Knowing that man is sinful and separated from God, and that the only way we can be able to come to God is when we believe in Jesus Christ and put our trust in Him. And so you realize that there is the problem of sin that happens to every human being that is born of a person. And so, yes, there are times when children, even when they come from a good family, they decide to go that sinful way, and that's a choice that they make. And God has to help them to come back to Him so that they can be able to walk right. But not every bad thing really comes from the family. Sometimes it's just the sinful nature of man. Yes, but other times it's really
The choices
the
people
choices
make.
people make. Yes, yeah.
Because you could also find a family that is not really aligned to God in any way. There is a man and a woman. They are probably married in one or another, maybe in the courts of law or anywhere else. And they don't believe in Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior at all. But they seem to have a good family. They are taking care of their children. They are
children are
raising them.
well-behaved.
Their children are well behaved.
Yeah.
They are academically excellent. But then the issue there would be that they do not believe in the person who started
The marriage.
the marriage.
And ultimately, marriages, all marriages, if they are not well aligned to Him, to God, I mean, they can't work. They will have something there that needs to be made straight.
But Mark, when someone say that, and there are people who actually are not Christians but have very good marriages, and yet
They-
you find Christians are failing at marriages.
Yeah. So the thing is, even when Christians are failing, Christians could fail, and also the other people could fail. So all of us can fail in the marriage thing. But ultimately, for everyone who goes into marriage, one should have the eye on the person who made it, the intent, why they made it, and how that can change their family to be the best family and have the best marriage. Yes.
But and there are people who are not Christians. I go back to that question. And there are people who are not Christians, Victoria, who have good marriages.
They are there. They are there. And I think everyone is on a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Whether you're running towards God or you're running away from God but towards something else. You are aware, everyone is aware there is some authority, there is something bigger than themselves. So some people are running away, and maybe they are having some kind of where they draw their standards of how a good marriage should be, and that's how they are doing it. And they, to the naked eye, they seem like they are flourishing and they're having everything. But then when you look at it in the long term, in the eternity perspective, how will it be for them?
Yeah.
How will we be together when that day comes, enjoying, the presence of the Lord and all that? Because yes, here they might have a good family, but then they have rejected God. But according to what our naked eyes see, they are okay. Their children are
They've been doing better than the
yes,
Christians.
they are financially stable.
They seem to be doing better than the Christians.
They are doing
yes, they're financially stable. Their children are excellent in school. They get the good jobs and they do everything. But yet, ultimately, they are not aligned to them.
There's no gain.
I think it is important to note that a healthy marriage, and it's okay. Some people may have those marriages which we look at as good and what, but a healthy marriage is one that is built on Jesus Christ and His teachings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that is something that we need to also have in. Yeah, we just need to have it at the back of our heads. Yeah. Yes.
So how does this good marriage influence society?
Yeah. And so looking at how it influences society, one is that a good marriage is one where, maybe going back, it's that a good marriage is one where we'll see companionship between a husband and wife. And ultimately, like I shared earlier, children will always do what their parents do. I've seen my children, maybe after I've said something to someone, in the same way, they say it the way I say it.
Yes.
If you shout it, they will also shout. They say, hey, you, and stuff like that. So ultimately, the thing is that first it's for companionship between the husband and wife, so that they will be able to experience each other, experience love, experience that goodness, and be able to enjoy the goodness of the Lord. Because, like my spouse here, Victoria, is a gift from God.
Okay.
She's a gift from God. And I am also her gift from God. And so when we take up our spouses and receive them, it's like we're receiving that gift that God has given us in all its package, in all its goodness, in all its totality. And sometimes that comes with the good, and those things we may call bad. Yeah, but sometimes
they're
we don't
just
want.
tingly.
But sometimes when we don't look at things with the right perspective, sometimes we can look at those small things, the ones that all of us struggle with, because we are all human. We are not perfect. We look at them and we can make them so big, and then it looks like someone hasn't really done anything, or they are not very, very good. And then before you know it, you want to even run out of your marriage because you think this person is not good. But that companionship shows us the love, and brings that love is what society is able to replicate. Because when they see the love that's between the husband and the wife, the children replicate it out there, the respect, and all those other things, they are replicated outside here.
From what they see.
Exactly, because everyone belongs to a family. Everyone. It may be dysfunctional, it may be what, but all of us come from a family. Yeah.
So what you mean is what people see is what they will do. So if they see a good marriage, they see love, they're going to actually also put out.
They are going to desire to have that. When children grow up in a stable family, in a loving relationship of a husband and a wife, when they grow up, they would want to have that for themselves, because they saw how mommy treats daddy and how daddy treats mommy. And so as they grow up, they will have that at the back of their minds, that when I grow up, I've had young girls say, if I don't get a guy who is as good as my husband, as my dad, I think I will first hold on being single. Because they were looking at their dad, how they treated the mother. And
that's
so
what they want.
That's what they want. That's what they desire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So apart from people learning from the good marriage, what else? How
Yeah.
else does a good marriage influence society?
A good marriage also brings about what is it called? That image, the image of God. People are able to see a good image of God. They are able to see that. Um, what can I say?
It mirrors
It
God's
mirrors
relationship
exactly
with
God's
the church.
relationship with the church. Because we learn about how selfless people are and how um, I mean how selfless God is through this marriage, and people are able to know that this is because of God and all that. Yeah.
And also in a marriage that is, stable and okay, you realize that chances of sexual abuse, chances of domestic violence, chances of, those evil things that go on in broken marriages are a little bit less because the parents are available, they are present and are fully engaged in the lives of their children, and they are raising them up in that way. So they are keen and eager to know what's happening in their lives, and they are present and available. So you find that because of the love he has for me, it will be hard for him to be beating me every time he
You
comes
can
back.
beat you in love.
That wouldn't be love.
It will be hard for him to abuse me. It will be hard for me to abuse
wouldn't be
him. So
love.
the children will grow up in that stable environment of there is no, abuse among his parents. And, even sexual abuse most times is not
lot.
a lot,
Yeah.
as we
Because
would
they are
find in dysfunctional families.
Yeah, because there are many surveys that have been done, and people actually have proven that when people come from these stable families, there's less, those children who come from there is a less likelihood for crime, there is less likelihood for violence, there is less likelihood for sexual violence, like she was saying, happening, and so that contributes a lot to the stability of the society as a whole, and yeah, the whole country even as a whole, and the world.
Okay, that is interesting, but it still brings my question of those that come from
That come from, yeah.
they come from good families. Oh, actually, those who come from bad families and they're good citizens.
Yes,
What are
yes.
those are outliers? What?
Yeah, those are outliers. The outliers are really those people who come from stable families and they end
go
up
wrong.
on the other side where they are violent and criminals and all that. But also there is this outlier, someone who comes from a terrible family, but then ends up being on
A very nice person.
because usually, and the world has a saying that the apple doesn't fall too far from the what?
From the tree,
From
so
the
come
tree.
this one
So
falls, and it even becomes an orange.
yeah.
Out of all that, any other thing that this marriage has?
Yeah.
What can it do for society, especially?
Procreation. I mean, as human beings, we would not be here if there was no procreation, which really helps our species and our kind to continue over the years. The moment that is stopped, then we're extinct and we will not be here. And that's why, in a way, it's very dangerous when it's man and man, woman and woman. Then how are you going to be able to procreate? You know, yeah, it's you see that it's a deliberate attempt by the enemy to make sure that actually he just finishes human beings. Yeah, and many of us are falling prey for that kind of thinking.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation of the influence of a good marriage on our society. Don't go away. I'm Fiona Mbowa here at Church of Uganda Family TV. Welcome back from that break. And before we went for the break, we were having Mark telling us how good families should be like, and also Victoria's emphasizing that for a good family, for marriage to be good, it has to be rooted on God. And we'll continue this conversation here at Church of Uganda Family TV with Ring Diaries. And yes, Mark, you were still telling us before we went for the break. What exactly do these good marriages? Because honestly, there's a lot of work to put into being a good marriage. So it must have some benefits somewhere.
Yeah.
So what are those other benefits that the marriages have on society?
Yeah, I think also when you look at marriages, marriages help us to have more healthy lifestyles.
Okay.
If you show me someone who's having a good marriage, and I'll show you someone who has a healthy lifestyle, you know.
How, Mark?
Hey, they eat well. You know that before you are married, you can be eating commando. You can.
And that is healthy. Those are beans.
Beans
Beans are very healthy. Then you get married and start eating meat.
and then you start eat some matoke, you eat some rice, you eat, because now you're coming together with someone and you have some other thinking, and really it's all. But also you kind of share, especially in a world where we are living, which has a lot of stress factors, where you find our jobs are demanding, and you're working 24/7, deadlines at night, phone calls coming in. It's when you have a companion that you can be able to share these things, and sometimes even help on how to cope with some of these stresses. So
marriage is a stress reliever.
Yes,
It's like doesn't it just add stress?
No,
it relieves stress, definitely.
It is the bad marriage
that will bring stress.
Exactly.
But a good marriage should be able to relieve stress.
Because even when a good marriage is going through challenges and hard moments, and those challenging moments, they usually find amicable ways to solve the issue. And so that issue or those problems or those challenges do not break them apart, but rather they actually either help them to know more about themselves or even point them back to the God. So in one way or another, stable families are the way to go.
Yeah. And someone said that show me the family, the strength of the family, and I'll show you the strength of a nation. So it's more like the strength of a family determines the strength of a nation.
Okay.
Yeah, and so really we need to really look out for our families and have those good families, but also good marriages which bring good families on board. Yes.
Okay. So you first of all made it seem like we need to have good marriages.
Yes.
And you've told us to have good marriages when we have to be hinged on God, we have to be able to work, and we have to be able to have fun. I don't know if I've forgotten any other. Majorly those three that determine a good family. And you've also told us that the good marriages, like inspire the people. Now I don't know, as a young couple, 4 years, okay. As a young couple, are there people you have looked up to and said we have to be like this?
Yeah.
Or even when you were younger, or you just found yourselves in a good marriage?
Yeah, there was a specific couple before I got married. They had one child, and they were looking for another second child. And I admired the way the challenges that, as they looked for a second child, the challenges they went through, but how they handled those challenges to come together, and how they would relate with each other, how the wife would treat the husband, and how the husband would treat the wife, and how their child, their only child, would be raised up, and with such love, but not with too much pampering that the child loses, values. So I looked at them and I thought, if I got married, or when I get married, I want to have such a family. I want to have something that looks like them, because to me they looked at, they were having hard times, but they were united and together
in the hard times.
Okay. And so there are even many that I have also seen, and I would say when I've personally, me and her serve in the ministry, And one of the things that some of the marriages that we have seen in the ministry really are very they challenge us. But there are things that come out as factors that influence a good marriage. Love is one of them. Love, where there is no love. I was recently reading a quote which was talking about. I think it was by the bishop in Bishop Onesimus, which was saying that a marriage without love squeaks. And so so if you see that without love the marriage can't stand. There must be that mutual love between the husband and the wife that allows them to be able to be in this relationship and voluntarily without being coerced or where they love each other, they enjoy each other, and that has to be there. But even as I've been looking at most of those couples that I really would like to be like, there is that respect, the mutual respect. I mean, no matter how much you love each other, if there is no respect, you can be sure these things will not work.
Out,
Yes, someone will reach and say, "Naye kwagala nnyo, but ontamye." So there is respect which must be there.
Encouraging each other
Encouraging
to be
each
the
other.
best they can be.
Exactly. So there is respect, there is that encouragement, the mutual encouragement that must be there, and companionship and camaraderie that must be there to support each other and move on. So that's some of the things I have been able to see in those families. But also she made a very key point where we need those couples get out of trying times together. They go through storms together. They overcome together. And so when you look at them tomorrow, it's like they have not gone through anything. And you're like, wow, I wish I was like them.
True.
Yeah, I think those are some of the things.
And even I thought I've been reminded that my mom and my dad who all have been together, and so I saw their commitment to each other, the love they had for each other, their commitment to raise us in a way that discipline instilled some godly values, and did whatever they could to make sure that we went through education. Whether when moments when they didn't have enough, moments when they had enough, they made sure that they look for everything from wherever, so that they see their children go through school. So that also gives me an example of a good marriage. Yeah.
So we've added a few things to the good marriage. I don't know if you realize. There's now respect. There is what else have we added?
We talked of love, respect,
encouragement,
companionship, camaraderie, and then
So our good marriage is actually expanding, and I hope our viewers, you're ticking a box and seeing, where am I in this journey of marriage? Am I actually on the track, or I'm going backwards? Because it's important. If we are saying that marriage is society is actually hinged on the marriage, then it is we need to play a part as the marriage. Okay, so to the part of the children we've seen come from very good families, but somehow things don't work out. What is with that?
I think there are choices people make. Some children become rebellious because probably they have grown up all their lives seeing their parents committed to serving the Lord and doing all those things of God, and to one way or another they have never chosen Christ for themselves. So they are doing it for the sake of their parents. This is the way I was raised. I was born into this. So now I want to explore what I've not been allowed to do. What is out there. I want to go and test and see. My mother keeps telling me this and this, but what about my friends? They seem okay, but they are not into the things that I'm into. So sometimes it's that curiosity of what is out there, what they have not experienced while they are growing up. Sometimes it's the choices they make, the rebellious heart. Man is sinful, so they will let the self take over, their desires to take over, and so they find themselves choosing a path that is not, what their parents desired them to walk on. And so they become rebellious. Actually, they even could become an outlier in the family, where you have this family, everyone is aligned and everyone is going okay. The Lord is blessing them and they are growing in their relationship with Christ. But then there is this other one
who stands out.
Yes, who stands out. Even everyone in the family knows him. For him, he chose that direction.
But also people tend to believe that people from broken marriages the ones disturbing society.
To a certain extent.
But they also outliers, as we've seen.
Yes. But also interestingly, God in his graciousness, he reaches out even to those that are born in broken families.
Yeah.
He reaches out and he wins them to himself and then raises them up, and some of them actually turn out to be very good husbands and very good wives, regardless of where they came from. Yeah.
That's true.
I've seen some like you can't be
yes,
you can't be the other person's son and you're treating a woman like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And someone will tell you, I saw what my dad did to my mom, so I don't want to do the same.
Or I don't want to ever be like that.
Yes.
But those who say, I've seen daddy do this, I need to continue to
Yes.
My dad.
Usually that's how it is.
Yes.
You pass it on, and the other one continues with it.
Yes. When my dad came home, you need all of you kneel down. So when I come in,
because like me, like to tell the truth, one of the things that most of the things I saw at home from my dad, being a man now that is in another family, most of those things I adapted. And if the bad, I try to find out, are there any bad things that I shouldn't carry along? But you find that majority of the things I do and got, I got from him.
So what happens if he's bad?
That one is where we are talking about the family. That if the father or the mother, if there is a problem with one of these people, the ones who are married, and they are living a wayward life, a sinful life, then that has an effect on the children in the long run or in the short run. They will end up adapting those behaviors. If you are a drunkard, you may find the whole clan or even the whole family. This mother, and everyone drinks.
And also the good thing with the Lord is that as we grow up, God has given everyone an opportunity to really choose. So as that child grows up in that abusive family, I'm sure God will bring an opportunity for that person to accept him and to experience, first of all, may not experience the love of a father or the love of a mother, but you will experience that love in a different context of God, in the love that God has for his children. And that will be the perfect example that we will have when he grows up and becomes someone.
Someone.
That is
Yeah.
That's nice. So we need to strive to have good marriages.
Yes.
If not for ourselves, for the sake of the people around us.
For the sake of the people around us.
And how about in church?
In church. I think that one is we when you look at the way the church is structured, is that first of all you have the family, as actually it's still a main or fundamental section of the church. In fact, all the people that go to church come from the family. And so when you look at this family, is that when the church has a healthy family, healthy families in the congregation, then you can see that even these people that come on Sunday, they are healthy. That is spiritually, physically, emotionally, financially, and all those other things. And especially the spiritual aspect for the church, because if it is not started at home, then it can, because it will be like this is religion here, and then all life is here, which shouldn't be, because this family, when it is aligned with God, then it just pours into the church. Yeah, and people are able to walk and talk and speak and glorify God in everything they do. Yes. Yeah.
And Victoria, how do you think we should behave in church as marriages?
We should be a very good example, because the church has young people who are not yet married.
Yeah.
And so as a married couple, we should strive to be our best, so that these people who are looking up, who are aspiring to become married one day, they will have a good example where to draw from.
And we need to be sensitive. We, the marrieds, need to be sensitive to the singles. We need not to coerce them. Sometimes we are coercing them. When are you getting married? When are you getting married?
We're just concerned.
We need to know that there are seasons in life, and some people are growing, they are maturing, and maybe that time has yet to come.
Sometimes some people are called to singlehood.
Yeah,
but
and
they have not yet
somebody
shared.
are
We
also
will
called to
not
singlehood.
allow until
Like
we are
Paul.
sure.
And so we need to respect that, and I just provide the environment of love and provide that picture. I remember before I got married to Victoria, I was able to see a number of couples at my local church, and these couples inspired me, and I just loved the way they carried each other. I liked the way they were, when they opened
Holding
the door,
hands.
and this one opens the door for the other one in the car, then this one holds the hand,
Holds the bag.
Hey,
I saw you holding Victoria's bag.
So you would see all these examples of love, and you're like, wow, I wish
You want
also,
to get married immediately.
So when we really have those healthy, thriving marriages, they automatically attract others to come into marriage. And you never know what someone sees in your marriage
that can
push them, or even give them the opportunity to overcome fear. And by faith, going into this venture that the Lord ordained.
And also, as married couples, we should, in the church, we should try to work with those young couples that are intending to get married.
Yeah.
Open up our homes, open up our spaces, so that these people can learn from us.
Yes.
They can get a clear picture of, come visit my home and see how I relate, how I raise my children. When someone comes in your home, sees how you take care of your house, your hygiene, sees how you relate with your husband, sees how you relate with your children. Are your children, are you trying to discipline and raise godly children? So you're opening them up to see even those things that may not be portrayed out there in the public, but here they get to see. So it's very important for married couples that are hinged on Christ to open up their spaces, to work with those that are intending for marriage. Because we too, before we got married, some couple helped us to get a picture of what we were getting into.
Really is.
Yes, marriage. And that was so helpful, because
it wasn't even just one. There were
many couples.
They just opened their homes up. They would come in, and they would open their privacy, so that you can be able to ask, inquire, look in, and if you have doubts, deal with them before you go on the other side. Yeah,
that's actually interesting. If we can help the people, because you see, as we keep saying, marriage, you first get in and then you see things. So if you can learn from people who are already there and experience what they're experiencing, I think it would actually be helpful, and I hope most churches can pick that up and make this journey better for
Yeah.
whoever can benefit from them. So what else do we, as a church, and I'm insisting on church because people tend to say that the worst marriages are in church. And I've also seen that most marriages in church are actually doing badly. So how do we make these marriages the good marriages we've described here?
Yeah. I think we need to be vulnerable. As I know, when you look at the world and how the world portrays those that are doing well, they kind of want us to cover up. They want us to not talk about issues. I think when you are going through an issue as a married couple, you need to be able to look out for someone, a godly counselor, maybe a godly couple that you can go to and help go through, especially those conflicts that may be very hard for you to overcome. Because each couple needs to have a way in which it deals with conflict resolution. And so people should not die with those issues. That
Die quietly.
die quietly. For them, they say, for me, I will not speak. I will keep with my thing. But in the end, when they are suffering, when the marriage is being derailed, so people need to be vulnerable. They need to open up so that we are able to know, but also so that counselors can get in there and help out. But the second thing is that even in those times of trials, for those bad marriages that we are calling bad at this time, is that in those times of trial, they need to go more to God. You know, when we are in trouble and going through hard times, usually we run away from
God instead of coming.
Yeah, so you find that when you go to those and check out some of those marriages you're talking about, people have, instead of running to God, instead of going to, they are running away. They are going elsewhere, which causes problem. The other thing is isolation. I mean, you talked of, I think the other week I was watching something where they were talking about oneness. Oneness. She talked of a journey. Even in our marriages, we are on a journey. We are either on a journey to oneness or we are on a journey to isolation. And when you are ending up in isolation, you start well, but eventually conflicts arise, you don't solve them well. Before you know it, depression is coming in. Before you know it, things are widening. You don't want anything to do with your husband. You don't sit together. You don't want this. You don't want. Eventually, I can live without him.
So, Sumak, for our viewers out there, maybe those who are married and those who even fear to get married because of the kind of marriages they're seeing out there, how do you encourage them?
Yeah, I would encourage those that are not yet married to trust the Lord as their Lord and Savior. But two, I would encourage them not to allow the world to define the marriage for them, but to go back and search for themselves and see what exactly God and why He made this institution. But also to have faith and go in if it is the time. And
Just go in,
and the Lord will bless. They will see the fruits. Yeah, there are many things that are inside there that are lovely, enjoyable, and good.
Wow, thank you very much. And Victoria, what are your parting shots to our viewers, those intending to get married and those who are already married, about how to influence the world with our marriages?
I think mine is not so far from his. It is that when man and woman come together in holy matrimony, they are accepting to God's plan of marriage. And so God brings them together for companionship, raising children, and doing all those other benefits that come with marriage. So as you come together, be ready to do marriage God's way, and be ready to direct each other towards salvation. When one partner is off the path towards Christ, point him, bring him back, or bring her back. So that will be my encouragement to those that are already married and those who aspire to get into marriage, that we should do marriage God is with.
Oh. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the Mutebis, for your time and for the wonderful conversation. And you've heard for yourselves, a good marriage is it is what we need to change society. And a good marriage is one that is rooted in God, one where you can have fun, where you can encourage each other, where you can celebrate life together. So be part of a good marriage and make your marriage good for the sake of society, if for nothing else. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. This is Fiona Mbowa here at Church of Uganda Family TV, Ring Diaries.